Someone erased this man before he even died. Every tag cut from his clothes, every trace of his identity, gone. For 74 years, he had no name at all. This is the story of the Somerton Man. On December 1st, 1948, a passerby noticed someone lying against the seawall on Somerton Beach, near Adelaide, Australia. He looked relaxed, almost asleep, one arm resting across his chest, legs crossed at the ankle. He wasn't asleep, he was dead, and no one nearby had any idea who he was. Police searched his pockets. No wallet, no ID card, no coins even, which was unusual for the era. A half-smoked cigarette sat on his collar, as if it had simply fallen out of his mouth mid-breath. His suit was well made, but unlabeled. Every tag had been cut out, not torn. Cut carefully with scissors or a blade. Someone had gone through the trouble of erasing every clue sewn into his clothing. An autopsy found no external injuries, no signs of a struggle, no obvious cause of death. But his organs showed changes consistent with poisoning. No toxin was ever identified in his blood. Whatever killed him, it left almost no trace, and that alone should tell you something about how deliberate this was. Fingerprints went nowhere. His photograph was circulated across Australia, then internationally. Weeks turned into months. Nobody stepped forward. For most cold cases, that's where the story ends. A body, a file, a slow fade into obscurity. But the Somerton Man case had one more twist waiting. Months after the death, investigators re-examined his clothing and found something the first search had missed. A tiny pocket sewn into the waistband of his trousers, so small it was almost invisible. Inside was a rolled scrap of paper. Printed on it were two words, Tamam Shud. It's Persian for finished, or the end. It comes from the closing page of a book of poetry called The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection about mortality, wine, and the shortness of life. Someone had torn that exact phrase from a physical copy of the book and hidden it in his clothing, on purpose, as if it were meant to be found. Police appealed to the public for the source book. A man came forward not long after, saying he'd found a copy of the Rubaiyat thrown into the back seat of his unlocked car, parked near the beach around the time of the death. The final page, with the words Tamam Shud, was missing. The torn edge matched the scrap perfectly. Inside the back cover was something stranger still, a block of capital letters, handwritten, 5 short lines, no punctuation, no obvious pattern, a code. Cryptographers examined it. Military codebreakers examined it. Nobody cracked it. Even today, no one has definitively decoded that message. At the very bottom of the page, faintly, was a phone number. Investigators traced it to a young nurse living just a few streets from where the body was found. When they showed her the man's photograph, witnesses in the room said she appeared to recognize him and appeared deeply shaken. She denied knowing him. She asked never to be named publicly. For decades, she wasn't, not in full. The case exploded into theory after theory, a Cold War spy, poisoned to keep a secret quiet, especially since Adelaide sat near a classified British rocket testing range at the time, a jilted lover using an untraceable poison and erasing his own identity out of shame or fear. A tragic accident dressed up to look mysterious by decades of speculation. None of it could be proven, and that unprovable quality is exactly what kept people obsessed for 3/4 of a century. University researchers picked the case up as a side project. True crime forums dissected the cipher letter by letter. It became one of the most famous cold cases in the world, known simply as the Tamam Shud case, or the Somerton Man. One of the people who became consumed by it was Derek Abbott, an engineering professor at the University of Adelaide. He came to it originally chasing the code, not the identity. Over time, the identity became the real puzzle worth solving. Abbott spent more than 2 decades on this case. He located living descendants connected to the nurse. He tracked down an old plaster cast of the Somerton Man's head and torso, made by police in 1949 before burial, the kind of forensic record that used to be a dead end. Except it wasn't. Hair strands survived, embedded in the plaster, Hair holds DNA. DNA holds identity, but only if you have something to compare it against. That's where the internet came in. Modern genetic genealogy doesn't require a direct DNA match to a known suspect. Instead, you upload a genetic profile to public ancestry databases, the same ones millions of ordinary people use out of curiosity about their own family history, and search for distant relatives, third cousins, fourth cousins, people who have no idea they're connected to anything unusual at all. From there, you build a family tree backward, branch by branch, until one specific person fits every detail. It's the same method that identified the Golden State Killer in 2018, decades after his crimes ended. In 2022, working alongside American forensic genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick, Abbott finally built a match strong enough to hold up. The Somerton Man had a name: Carl Webb. Born in 1905 in Footscray near Melbourne. An electrical engineer by trade. Not a spy, not a soldier. Not a secret operative silenced for what he knew. Just a man from a large, working-class family who over the years seemed to drift away from nearly everyone who once knew him. Records suggest a difficult marriage that ended before his death. No conspiracy, no foreign plot, no dramatic reveal waiting at the bottom of it all. Just a person who slowly disappeared from the lives around him, long before he disappeared from life itself, ending up alone on a beach with the tags cut from his coat. It's a strange kind of anticlimax. 74 years of spies and poison plots and secret lovers, and the real ending is an ordinary man nobody thought to look for. The cipher in the back of the book is still unsolved. Some researchers think it's nothing more than a private shorthand. Initials, a list, a memory aid with no hidden message at all. Others still believe it holds something deliberate, something written by a mind under pressure. Nobody has proven either theory, and it remains the one piece of this case that outlasted every other secret. But the identity no longer is a mystery. Public DNA databases uploaded by strangers chasing their own family trees turned out to be the missing piece nobody in 1948 could have imagined using. Dozens of unrelated people, scattered across ancestry platforms for over a decade, unknowingly held fragments of Carl Webb's identity the entire time. Abbott still believes the cipher can be cracked, given the right approach. Fitzpatrick has moved on to other unidentified remains cases, applying the same method that finally closed this one. The plaster cast of Carl Webb's face still sits in a South Australian museum archive, the same cast that quietly held the answer for over 70 years before anyone thought to look inside it. And somewhere, in a family tree pieced together from anonymous DNA uploads, distant relatives of Carl Webb now carry a piece of family history none of them expected to find. A name. A record. A great uncle who spent nearly a lifetime as an unsolved question and is now, finally, just a name in a file. What do you think about this mystery? Leave a comment below.